because it's a production system. It's our own Khoj production system. That's why it's ST1, right? That's why I'm not giving that access at this time. But I wanted to show this out. When you do your own installation, you will actually install a dual stack. You will have everything to play with. You will have both Java and ABAP.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. All right. So, good questions, right? This is, to help you clarify and crystallize your thought process. So J-control is the Java control framework, and then this framework does launch Java for you, but does not launch Java by simply saying Java command, right? If you grep for Java, you ain't going to find anything. You need to grep for J-launch. So now I'm going to actually, I could have grepped for J-launch, but since I'm saying that the control framework starts the Java launch, I can just grep for 29594, right? Then I will see both the control framework and the Java launch command, right? So this is the first Java, or one of the two Java server processes. This is one, and this is another one, starting from here and ending here. This, and the way you read this JLaunch command is to figure out to figure out what it is running is so there are actually 3 J launches, if I'm not mistaken, right? So that's the first one. This is the first one, and this is the SDM, Software Deployment Manager, running as Java, right? If I go back to this diagram, here's the diagram, right? It says here SDM is not shown in the figure, but I'm showing you SDM, right? Software Deployment Manager. The second one, the second J launch is this guy. From here to here is the Java dispatcher, right? It says dispatcher here, right? And then the third one is the Java server process, SERVER, right? So what you have seen now is the Java dispatcher and the Java server process, right? There's only one server process running, but I could be running multiple server processes. And if multiple server processes would be running, you would see it here 0001, right? If multiple Java server processes would be running. But Java itself is multi-threaded architecture. That means one server process doesn't mean that it can only do one, it can only process one Java transaction at a time, because it will spawn multiple threads within that work process. Right? And in addition to this, if I do PS minus
has left the conference.
grep SCS
has joined the conference.
SCS stands for System Central Services. This is the Java Central Services. That's why you see listed here message server and NQ. Not for the ABAP, but for Java stack. So by grepping for SCS, what you are grepping is this guy, System Central Services, for Java. And it's close to 12:05. We're going to break for lunch here, but what means you what we have just covered in the last 2 hours is at least 10 certification questions in and around. Half the battle is what is the freaking work process at the OS level which I need to worry about, right? You have now seen all of them running. So you have seen a schematic diagram, you have seen what's available in SAP GUI, and behind the scenes what's running at the OS level, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Java stack has only two processes, one message server and one NQ.
No. Java stack you're saying?
Yes.
No. Java central services
Java
is
central.
service, yes, yeah. So Java stack in itself has got central services plus Java dispatcher plus Java server
Right.
plus SDM, which is not shown in the diagram, but I showed to you guys, right? And on top of it, the control framework, J-control work process, which started everything and was itself, started by SAP stack.
How about the back, right? Because the ABAP also has, central services, central service services. How we differentiate that?
Yeah, we looked at, right, the MS and NQ work process, right? It does not have a separate SCS kind of an instance running.
This is a case where everything is running in one box, right? Let's say if I have a distributed kind of environment where my central instance is running on one system and the database is on the other system.
Right.
I mean, how we differentiate that? Which is the app server or which is the central instance server? I mean,
yeah, it's the same way, right? The central instance server, an ABAP central instance server would be differentiated because it will have the message server and the NQ work process running. Others will not have it. That's the only difference.
So what I understand here, wherever is the NQ server running, NQ message, that process is running is
There is no process called NQ message. Message server is one process, NQ server is another process.
So wherever is the NQ server is running is where the central services are running. Am I correct?
Wherever the NQ work process for ABAP is running is the central instance of ABAP. Wherever the NQ work process for central services is running is the central instance for Java. They can both be running together or they can both be running independently on different servers. So if they were running on independent servers, the first two diagrams, right?
Centra
Has left the conference.
It was single stack. And you can, once you're looking at it at a process level, it's TCP/IP, right? You could distribute the hell out of it, right? You could have the database running separately. You could have ABAP central instance running separately. You could have Java central instance running separately. You could have ABAP app servers running separately. You could have Java app servers running separately. However, you need to think intelligently, right? What are the single point of failures here? The database is single point of failure, right? If you're not running rack, like in Oracle rack, if you're not running an Oracle rack, it's a single point of failure. If it goes down, S1, P1 is down, you're down, right? If you're not running rack and you're running some kind of a
Has joined the conference.
If you're running some kind of a clustering mechanism, you want to co-locate the database and ABAP central instance and the Java central instance. Why? If you do not do it, you will need 3 clusters, right? And that's going to kill you from a budget standpoint and complexity standpoint. The central instance is not its message server and lock mechanism. You can prevent load coming to that. You just need message server capability and locking capability, right? Management. So run them with the database on a clustered environment, then all of your single point of failures are in one single cluster, right? Otherwise you need 3 clusters, right? If you are running a rack, Oracle rack environment, then basically you run Oracle rack and use Oracle's framework, which Oracle actually worked with SAP to provide to you, called SAP CTL. In SAP CTL, you can run message server and a replicated NQ environment. And
don't you think it will be again we are adding complexity in an SAP environment, because SAP has its own NQ mechanism, right? And RAC has its own NQ mechanism. So it will be a performance.
No, RAC has an NQ mechanism, but Oracle working with SAP has come up with SAP CTL as the mechanism to replicate your NQ and message server. Because if you have one kind of a quorum device, right, and you want to just use, it's really at the file system level, right? File system can be concurrently accessed by two different servers, right? So typically that's the best practice, is to just stick with that SAP CTL if you're doing an Oracle rack. Or then you'll have two separate, you have a real application cluster for Oracle, you have an HACMP, whatever OS you're using for another cluster, right? This continues to add complexity. Most of the places I've been at, means RAC is very, very new in SAP world, right? Means only recently got certified less than a year or year and a half ago. So very few Fortune 500 companies are using Oracle RAC productively for their core ERP product.
I was planning to deploy that RAC on SAP in my company, but due to some complexity and it didn't went through, and we deployed SAP. So,
right. So it's very, very new, and a lot of companies shy away from it because even the RAC itself is very stable, but working within an SAP workload on how SAP app servers interact with Oracle is where the issue is. And I've not seen too many implementations. There are a number of smaller implementations, but not too many implementations where RAC is being used. But normal HP clustering, Solaris clustering, AIX's HACMP, Microsoft cluster, Veritas cluster, those kind of clustering is common. Okay, so let's break for lunch. We'll reconvene at 1:10.
Yeah, hello Ajay.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Sachin Sharma. I just want to ask, what is the role of Java Connector and JLaunch?
Right. So Java Connect, I'll talk about JLaunch first. JLaunch is, rather than executing a Java command, right, to start the JVM, JLaunch is an SAP Java control framework mechanism to launch the Java virtual machine. So behind that JLaunch command is your JVM running. And that's your J2EE engine, full-blown J2EE engine running. JCO, Java Connector, is if you have a Java instance wanting to get something from the ABAP instance, on how it is going to talk to the ABAP instance is through the Java connection. JCO, right? That's why you see here is if a Java server process wants to call an ABAP work process, it uses Java connector to do that. And typically it would want to call it because it wants to get some information which is available on the Java stack.
Okay then.
Right? Good.
Yeah, Ajay, one more thing.
Yes.
Yeah, you told there is a SDM, software development, software
Deployment.
manager, I don't know the name.
Deployment manager. Software deployment manager. Yeah.
What is?
So software deployment manager, as we'll learn, when you move code from dev to QA to production, you're deploying software, right? On the ABAP side, there is a very well thought out process for transports, right? Moving a transport from dev to QA to production. On the Java side, that mechanism is executed through the concept of software deployment manager, on how you deploy Java packages into a J2EE engine. That means essentially make code, Java code available in the Java stack.